start by acknowledging our senior brother, Mr. Kingsley Wally, for this event, because those of us who are from the Niger Delta, I'm a local. I may not look it, my nose is straight, my skin is light, but I am from Edeme local government of Rivers State. And many people don't understand, many Nigerians will not understand the effects of corruption, like the people of the Niger Delta, like the people of Rivers State, like the people of those who live in local governments and communities like mine that have been ravaged by malpractice in the oil and gas industry, that have been ravaged by maladministration by state and local governments in the areas. So I know that everybody here understands what the issues are. The question now is about what is it that we're prepared to do to solve those problems. And that's what I want to get to. You know, Chinua Achebe once wrote a book that many of us may be familiar with called There Was Once a Country. There was once a country. Why do I raise that? I raise that because when you take into account the fact that the generation, I'm speaking from the perspective of a young person, and I see many young people here. The generation of our fathers met a Nigeria, met a country, met a river state different from the ones that we met. My father's generation enjoyed a scenario in which they would come out of secondary school, they would have state-sponsored scholarships abroad, they would come back home with their degrees, some of them up to master's, some of them up to PhD level, and they will have a process of selection of the career that they wanted to go into. Not only would they have a selection of career opportunities to go into, but within those career opportunities, there would be a sub-selection of companies that they would work for. This was the generation of our fathers, 30, 40 years ago. What do we have today? Unfortunately, I'm not here to pass blame. I'm here to talk about solutions, but I have to start from somewhere. Unfortunately, it was that generation that had those opportunities that have brought us to where we are today. That's the reality. Now, the question is, if that generation brought us to this point, and this is the baton that we're being handed, where are we moving to? Where are we taking the next generation? What will they say about us? What will they say about us? You know, we're in a time and a season in our national history where indeed there is a battle for the soul of the nation. And I don't see it the way some people see it. I don't see it as a war between APC and a war between PDP and APC and all these other parties. I don't see that. What I see are two political organizations that have good and bad individuals in both of them. That's the reality. The question is, no matter which party we say we belong to, who are we actually? Who are we actually? Because we've grown up with a generation, like I've said, we watch them on TV, we've watched them speak in our churches, speak in our halls, speak in our communities about the need to behave well, the need for integrity, the need to do this and the need to do that. But it's the same people that speak about those things that have brought us to this point. So it has to go beyond a speech. Now, what is it that we need to do to ensure that it goes beyond a good speech? And this is why I say, you know, we're talking about corruption in the form of manifestation. We talk about bad roads, bad health centers, bad schools, bad this, bad that, no electricity, no opportunities for the youth. That's manifest corruption. That's the result of corruption. What I want to talk about is the intention that leads to corrupt practice. Where does corruption start from? It starts from the heart. It comes from a place. It's an intention. Now, all the young people here, some of you today may not have a job or may not have an opportunity. But 20 years from now, you may be the governor of Rivers State. That's the truth. You may be a senator. You may be the president of the Federal Republic. That's the truth. Controlling billions of dollars. controlling institutions that are weak, which means that whatever you decide will usually go, because the institutions can't check the excesses of men in our country as of today. So when it's your time to reign, when it's your time to man these institutions at a leadership level, what will you do? It all depends on what you've told yourself you're going to do today. And that's what I want to talk about, intention. In your heart, don't tell anybody, don't tell me, don't tell your brother, don't tell your father or your wife or your husband. In your heart, if you have an opportunity to change the lives of millions of Nigerians or the millions of Rivers people in any position, what is that thing that you have determined already that you're going to do? Have you already decided that you're going to make sure that your grandkids and your great-grandkids never have to look for money again? Is that your decision that, you know, all these other people, they've come before me and look at what they've done. They're good and the country's on fire, but they can go to Dubai or London, so why can't I do that? They've had their share of the national cake. Why can't I have mine too? Because I talk to young people, and this is what they tell me. This is what they tell me. What nation are we going to bequeath to our children? When our children go into the airport and the roof is coming down and the AC doesn't work, and you have a customs officer and an immigration officer coming to you and saying, "What's for the boys?" You go to Ethiopia, you go to some of these other countries, you pass through 6 stages before you get on a plane. You won't hear that once. You pass through 6 stages in a Nigerian airport, you might hear it 5 or 6 times. There's a problem. So all I want to say this morning is that we all know what the state of the nation is today. We all face it. Even when we don't hear about it, we're confronted with it every day. So you don't need me to tell you what the state of the nation is. The question is about, in your heart, young person, young woman, young man, the ones that are the custodians of the future, what is it that you really want to do in your heart? Do you just want to live a good life and just enjoy success and enjoy power so that people will kneel before you and you just continue what previous generations have done? Or are you going to do something different? Are you going to be determined that your sons and your daughters and your grandchildren are not going to get the same nation that you got? In River State today, you go to the National Bureau of Statistics, what will it tell you? It'll tell you that River State has amongst the top 3 largest unemployment rates in the nation by state. Yet we're in the top 3 in the top 3 most earning states of the Federation. How can that be? Among so much plenty, there's so much poverty. Why? The heart is what I challenge you today. I challenge you that it's a matter of the heart. And all of this thing, we really just have an obligation, not just to ourselves, but to whoever comes next, that whatever suffering that we've endured, look, I know what it is to work in a place. Don't mind my dressing. I wasn't always dressed like this. I grew up in poverty. I did. I know what it's like to not have 2 meals in a day. I've lived that life already, believe it or not. Let it not be that the sacrifice, the pain, and the poverty, and all the anguish that you've been left with that has been bequeathed to you by previous generations, let that sacrifice, let that pain and that suffering not go in vain. Use it to create something beautiful. That's my challenge to you. Don't perpetuate this cycle of abuse and of poverty and of pride and of ego and of violence and of warfare. We've had enough. It has nothing to do with PDP or Nyesom Wike or APC and Tony Cole. It's about who we are as a people. Rivers people, Nigerians, who are we? What do we want for the state? What do we want for our country? That's what this is about. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with politics. It's about who we're deciding to be so that we can forge a new future. And that's what I want to say this morning. Thank you very much for listening.